let's say you made your own stickers, for example, it could cut out the stickers on a sheet. So that's just an example. And if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see an example where I've loaded the SVGs from mask patterns and cut out several masks at once, like 3, which means 6 pieces. So this has a lot of capability. Then the next thing is feet. No. The next thing
You got my feet?
The next thing I'm here in the hallway. So this is an AccuQuilt cutter. Ignore what you see on the label right now. There are different versions of the cutter. That one is the Studio cutter. I got initially their Go cutter, it's called. And then I learned that when you have the Studio cutter, you can create custom dies from it or for it. So once I learned that, I started like spending a little too much money. No, my gadget person in me went a little crazy. So I think I mentioned in one of the forums that I had a gadget from the Anna Maria Horner folk flower block. I took that class as well, and I learned that, you know, with the folk flower shape, it's basically a circle, straight line, a stem, right? And then a leaf. But I wanted it to be the perfect leaf because AccuQuilt, there's another company called Sizzix. Sizzix makes dies. AccuQuilt is kind of like, they're very specific to quilters, whereas Sizzix is more of a like card, scrapbooking, just different other kinds of materials. But you know, there are quilters like Victoria Finley Wolf who has dies with Sizzix. So yeah, I would definitely recommend looking more into die cutting machines. But for the studio, I ordered this leaf die. So that gives you an idea of the shape. This is what the die looks like itself. So this is all surrounded in foam, and it goes through that cutter, and going through that cutter, the foam presses down and the steel from the die comes up. This will cut up to 10 layers of fabric at once. So this is one where when you request a custom die, you send them a drawing. And so I basically traced, you know, the shape of the flower that she had in her original example, and you know, just kind of maybe evened it out a little bit to just kind of make it so it wasn't an exact copy, right? I'm kind of making it my own. It's kind of really custom in that way, but there was something specific about the shape of the leaves that were a part of that folk flower block pattern. Other leaves are like, here I have another, yeah, another leaf die. Other leaves are like this. You know, they're just this melon shape. So I needed it to be this leaf shape where it's broader at the base and then, you know, smaller at the tip. So I just kind of drew that out, and you send it to them, and then they give you a quote first, so you know what you're dealing with. But there's AccuQuilt, and then there's a company called AccuCut. So that studio cutter that I have is one that I found on eBay, and they have 2 models. So they have the AccuQuilt Studio original version and the Studio 2. With the Studio 2, those legs fold up, so it's easier to store it away. But what you can do is on eBay, you can find a Studio 1 at a really good price, and then go to the AccuCut website, and they have a conversion kit. That conversion kit was like, I'd say it's under $100. And it's like, it's just a few screws. It's really easy to make that conversion. And then you get what you need to be able to fold up the legs of the machine and put it away. I kind of, you know, we kind of had this little nook in the hallway, and I had this dresser that was like, okay, this will be my cutting area. But yeah, so that's what that one is, custom dies. Okay, I wanted to give an opportunity for any questions. If our moderator has seen any questions, maybe we should cover. Anyone?
Sorry, it took me a second to get my mute off. We're gonna. I panicked. This is Rachel, everybody. How you guys doing so far? Go ahead and answer in the chat. I know you guys are all doing awesome. The chat has been on fire, as I fully expected. Everybody's loving your presentation. This is fantastic. Let's see. Okay, 2 questions that did not get answered. One, the purple cutter towards the beginning, the little purple stick stand-up little cutter thing. Yes, that. What happens when it gets dull? Can you change the razor out?
I don't know, but I'd say probably so, because there's this little channel here on the side. So
Okay.
I've never,
Yeah, this looks like probably.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I haven't really had to do that. And I'm just trying to think of how much I've used it. You know, I guess, of course, it would depend on use, but yeah, I'll Google it now.
Okay. And then, what kind of pizza are you getting for dinner?
It's very complicated.
Complicated pizza.
There are allergies on both sides, and they're opposing allergies. So
Oh no.
one is a Super Supreme. They're Pizza Hut. Any suggestions? Feel free. Send them
Pizza
my
Hut
way.
is good.
Yeah.
Pizza
I'm
Hut.
not anti-Pizza Hut.
And the other's a chicken luau. So, you know, I like a Hawaiian pizza, but this is one with chicken. So I thought I'd
With
give it.
chicken. Okay, that sounds good. All right. Sweet. Well, those were the questions. Anybody else have questions in the chat? Give you a minute here. And there's a lot of love for Pizza Hut.
All pizza is
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah, that's right, Angie. That's right. Absolutely.
Any more comments about this?
Okay. Boner. Hey, you have another boner opportunity. Come on. Where's it at? Where's it at in the chat, you guys?
That was just gone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's been
okay,
fun.
Serious question. Okay.
Oh.
Legit question.
Okay.
Question. Do you prep fabric before cutting it in the brother?
And the brother, yes. Ooh, okay, hold on. I gotta show you what I use there. Move! Hurry! Okay, here we go. Okay, I use this. Terrio Magic, it's called.
Ah.
So it's a fabric stabilizer. It's stronger than a starch. So if you really wet your fabric with it, it becomes almost like a cardboard. So, Terrio Magic. This is the latest label. There's another. The bottle looked different before, so yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Cool. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions not related to boners?
I had one more thing I just remembered
Yeah.
that for some reason wasn't exactly in my list. Okay, so I was kind of hesitant about sharing this because this tool, I have an example of it on my Instagram in use, but this is one of those things that's like they don't make it anymore and you gotta really hang out on eBay and fight people for it. It's by Simplicity. So we were talking about like Latifa Safir's bias quilt, which by the way, her class on Blueprint is really great on that. This is a bias binding machine from Simplicity. And so many of you have seen the little tip things that you use with an iron. This whole machine, it does all of it. So this piece right here is like an iron. And once it's all set up, you know, you have the little thing here. You feed your 2.5-inch strips or whatever size based on the tip you're using. And then it literally feeds through and folds it under. Or there's another tip they call, I think it's a quilting tip that folds it in half. So it'll do the thing that this tip does with your iron, but the whole machine does the thing. And you can get this other thing. This one's a lot less expensive on eBay, but it's called the winder. So if you see my post where I'm showing this demoed, it's running through that binding machine and then it's coming through in here and it's winding it into a roll. So I think I maybe have that on my list. That's yeah, and here's an example of tips, like, because I'm a gadget nerd. So down to
Nice.
an 1/8 of an inch. It goes down that small. Yep. Okay, that's it.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my video here,
Okay.
and thank
done
you
and I'm on
guys.
mute.
Let's see here.
Oh,
I'm
are you?
not-
Okay.
hang
You're
on
not
a
on mute
second.
here.
Tech worthy here. There we go. I can see myself, so I didn't know if I was on the screen.
We did it. Hey,
All right.
Rachel.
Yes, look at
That's
all
all
the
stare at
things,
everything.
screen
Thanks,
share
Kim.
things.
Enjoy your pizza.
Thank you
Stop
so much,
recording me
Kim. That was a really
Bro,
awesome
this I'm having-
presentation.
It's
I know
awesome.
that everybody enjoyed it.
Should've
I
came
know
down here
I
at
took
time
notes.
one.
I'm sure other people took notes. Kim did provide for all of us a list with links to all of the different gadgets that we will post in the Q&T page, the Facebook group. And then I can probably,
I'll post hard.
if people want to send me a message on Instagram, if you're not in the Facebook group, and ask for that, we can share that if that's cool. It's Kimberly. I'm sure she's good. So we'll do that. So next up is
Signing off.
raffle
Beautiful job,
prize.
hon.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
job.
Pizza's here, right?
Yep.
For the night.